freedom, I believe, is one of the best things anyone could ever wish for. And if there's any group or body that deserves freedom, it is the media. Why? Because of the nature of their duty. And so today we would be focusing on the media and the challenges of press freedom. And my guest is Clem Aguiyi. He is the CEO African Free Press. Together we'll be talking about this. Welcome to the Media Review segment. I'm Eunice Tokura. You're welcome, Mr. Clem.
Thank you, Eunice, for having me in your studio.
Yes. Basically, the topic is the media and the challenges of press freedom, particularly in Nigeria. First of all, let's start off on this note. How free really is the Nigerian press?
Well, to a very large extent, we can say that Nigeria has one of the most vibrant media community. With a population of about 170 million people, we have over 110 established media outfits, both in the electronics and print media. And Nigerian media has also been very open in criticizing unpopular government policies and also in championing the cause of democracy. So to that extent, should we say that we have a good climate for the media in Nigeria, but that does not remove the concern about media freedom in Nigeria, because we still have issues and concerns about media people, journalists being harassed while doing their job. We had cases of where journalists were beaten up by security agencies for covering news or for reporting critical news. We also have cases where journalists are being slammed with all kinds of sedition charges for doing their job. We also have cases where journalists are being abused and threatened for what they have done.
You mentioned being in a democracy,
yes.
And you would agree that in the past, journalists were openly harassed, molested, treated badly, sometimes imprisoned, and even killed sometimes for doing in the line of duty. But for now, we barely hear of such cases like those days. Would you say that journalists, and you mentioned that they are still under threats, why isn't it as being heard of like before?
Well, maybe because of journalists, the media are not reporting what concerns them very prominently the way they want to report that of others. Yes, during the military time, journalists were brutalized. We had the case of Aguiyi. It was made very popular. It happened under the military time. That doesn't mean that journalists have not been killed yesterday. Just yesterday, Lawrence Okoji, NTA reporter in Edo State, was shot dead by unknown assailants. And maybe by the time the motive of murder is established, you find that this guy will have been killed for maybe
particular
information or particular news project he's working on. I have cases last year when journalists were also murdered for reporting critical news about politicians. We also have non-state actors like Boko Haram that also kill journalists and accuse them of spying on them for Nigerian government. So we have both state actors brutalizing journalists, and we have non-state actors, the militants, brutalizing journalists. We have cases in the southeast where journalists who are critical of the maybe the Biafra agitators being harassed, threatened for reporting a particular side of the story. We also have in the Niger Delta area where the militants in that region have also brutalized and attacked journalists. There was a journalist that was kidnapped working for Vandal lady. She was kidnapped because of the work she was doing, trying to expose the evil of militants.
Okay, so that means these things.
So this is it's happening every day. I just told that just 2 days ago, a journalist was killed in Edo State.
So are you saying the media should be blamed for underreporting?
I think the media should be blamed partially for underreporting what happens to them, because if the media will take it more robustly, reporting what happens to them as media people. I mean, maybe
as against reporting what happens to others.
Yes, I mean, you should pay attention to yourself and to your welfare too. We have journalists who've lost their job because sometimes people who established media outfits do that for political reasons. And when politics is over, they don't pay the media people their salary anymore. This is just harassment. There's no job security. We also have people who are presenters on the studio and they have a critical view on an issue or cut off on a presentation. because the owner of the station doesn't like what we are doing, or he was called from above and they were said, take this man off the air. It happens sometime in AIT, one of the presenters over an issue. So the journalists are being harassed every other way. During under this democracy, Steve Musu of Sun newspaper was shot in the head on his way to his office by some young man in the bag. Nothing was taken from him. So it could be an assassination. People still believe that the Aguiyi of Sun who was run over by a vehicle while he was jogging was premeditated.
So that means these things.
So this is happening every other day.
Okay. Seeing that the media is said to be the fourth estate of the realm, after the executive, legislature, the judiciary. Has the media really been given that freedom to play that role as the fourth estate of the realm, in the real sense of it?
Like I said, we have a very vibrant media climate in Nigeria and history of media in Nigeria. And the Nigerian Constitution guarantees media freedom and freedom of the press. And just recently, the amended 1997 Constitution also guarantees freedom of access to information. But you know as well as I do that despite the fact that the former president of Nigeria signed the Freedom of Information Bill, the bureaucrats are still not allowing access to this information. Just recently, people are still agitating and asking the National Assembly to open up their expenditure so that Nigerians will know what their budget is like and what they're earning. Has it been complied with to a very large extent? The answer is no. If you ask today for information about how maybe this organization is being run and the expenditures and the budget, which is the right of citizens, you might not get it. You have to still go through unnecessary long bureaucracies, and these are also hampering. And most of the time, the public out there wants to hear the real news. They want to hear the headlines. But they don't understand what the media people are going through to get this hardcore news, to give it to you. And when they give it to you, they don't even know what you're passing through, sometimes at the risk of your life to do that. So the society doesn't even know what the media goes through. So I would say, yes, we have in the Constitution freedom of the press. And thanks to the courts that have tried severally in many ways to expand press freedom, because I think the court has given journalists more press freedom than even the Constitution of Nigeria, because many a time when cases of journalists were taken to court, the court has helped to mitigate their suffering. But even as I spoke to you today, there are many journalists who are in detention, especially citizen journalists who are in detention or having one heavy court cases upon their head for reporting to this kind of event. In Katsina State, journalist Mambai was arrested and detained by taken to court.
All still in the course of discharging his duty.
I'm talking about things that were happening months ago within our own democracy, within also the government that have promised freedom of the press. Yes, the Buhari administration promised freedom of the press, but do we really have that freedom of the press? Okay,
maybe we'll make that a rhetorical question. Do we really have that freedom of the press? Yes, speaking of, you mentioned something in the while talking about the audience are waiting for the media to disseminate information while not knowing what the journalists go through, bringing those information to them. While studying, you're being taught as a journalist, maybe during trainings in school and all of that you should, in the face of whatever challenges, you should stand for the truth and all that. Now, in the face of all this that you say journalists are going through, do you still think that it is right for a journalist to withhold certain information because he wants to save his life? Okay, I don't want to pass through all of this. Okay, then maybe I should just hold this information, or still stick to professionalism amidst all of this and proceed with whatever information he has, irrespective of what?
It is very easy to ask a journalist or anybody that is there to serve the public to stick by the truth. But in actual fact, the decision and that discretion, it still depends on you, because at the end of the day, you suffer the consequence of doing your job. And that is why people like me believe that journalists who have been courageous and extraordinary in performance of their duties and their job should be appreciated, recognized. Those who have lost their lives in the course of their job should be immortalized.
Okay, very quickly, because of time, very, very quickly, you spoke about recognition, and before we came on set, you were talking about an award organized for journalists who have been maimed, you know, for discharging their duties. Can you just say something quickly about that?
Yeah, you see, studying journalism myself, I was more attracted to what they call investigative journalism, and that is what many people are looking at from every hardcore journalist or reporter or correspondent, to be able to dig into stories and get at the real facts of the stories. And I also became aware that many of these people have suffered injustice and harassment, brutalization, and murder.
Go into the award because of time.
And murder in cause of doing their duty. And I felt that some of these people should be recognized, so that it will become an incentive to others who want to still be crack journalists, core journalists, and do the job professionally, to be able to do those jobs. Because we will know that your services is not...
time would not permit us to go further, but basically it's been interesting speaking with Clem Aguiyi, and he is actually organizing an award ceremony for journalists who have been under threat, who have been maimed or molested in the course of their duties, and that's what he was about to talk about, but time will not permit us to go into details. Thank you very much for coming. It's been wonderful speaking with you. Yes, that's about it for the media review segment. I hope the media would do something about reporting themselves after reporting others. That's about it. Thank you for watching.
It's time to go.
Yes, what more can we say? It's time to go again, but I had it quite insightful as we spoke about press freedom and, of course, the way forward. We hope that something would be done as we regard the media as the fourth estate of the realm. That's about it for...
What did you make of the APC PDP?
I had fun watching. Okay. I was just laughing at different intervals, but it was quite an interesting debate. Yeah, it was. Okay, yes, this is where we wrap up another episode of Insight. But don't forget, you could still be part of the conversation. It's not just by watching, it's by participating. Just follow on Twitter at OOMINI NTA and at Eunice Tokura. Be part of it. Till next week, join us again. Bye for now.
Always share time with us. Bye-bye.